Welcome to all the paintings I did in 2017 and the things I learned from them. Starting off with oils. These first few are just blending exercises. The only painting I painted this year with oil is this fox. The background has a lot of texture. The hair has a lot of texture just by dabbing. Acrylic paintings. This first one is a canvas that I bought from the dollar store. I wanted to test out the supplies that they offer. It's pretty decent, but you need a lot of paint. This is at least 2 layers of paint. This is also using dollar store paint. This is their neon paint. Next up, I tested some new paper. This is a mixed media paper. It turned out not to be very good for acrylic at all. I don't like it, but it does work nicely for watercolors. This piece is more of an art therapy piece. I wrote down all the things that were making me angry, then I blacked them out and drew on top. Now this is canvas paper, which is a lot easier with acrylic. It's a lot easier to blend, it's a lot easier to add water, and the acrylic stays wet and you can keep mixing things. This piece I only really like the apples, which are a lot of different layers of paint, just bringing and then streaking in a little bit of green on top, and also using the splatter technique. This is just for Halloween. I wanted to do something spooky. Practicing clouds. This is using a watercolor paper. It turned out pretty nice, but it dried a very strange texture. I spent a lot of time blending the perfect sunset on this piece, the texture in the waves to make it look like it's moving. I spent a lot of time blending the pot for the shadows and highlights. This piece is a lesson in doing your background first so you don't paint over your perfect hand. Now on to watercolors. These first few are just flat wash practices. This uses some watercolor pencils. This was an attempt at using some cheap watercolors. Before I even got past the first layer, they started to destroy the paper. This is one shade of green, just layering and layering, and here I use a wet and wet for the background and then dry brushing on top. This thing is still covered in salt. One of my flat washes turned out nice, so I put some flowers on top. This is a mountain scene at sunrise, so there are a lot of very deep shadows, and I was trying to practice working with those. This is probably the best piece of the whole year. The background is the wet and wet, and then dried off with a paper towel, and then everything in the foreground is dry brushing. For the lightning piece, I spent almost a month just layering and layering and layering to try and get the deep, deep blues and blacks. I ended up giving up and doing a top layer of acrylic. The leaf set is a good lesson in waiting for things to dry before adding another layer so they don't start to bleed into each other. The red is just a bunch of layers, so it uses just red, white, and navy blue. This is an attempt at a gradient yellow to orange background. This uses the Pilot Fine Tip pen. This is my attempt at a wet on wet water sunset scene. These are all just practice sheets, ways of doing different branches and pine cones. Swatch of my colors. Here is where I bought myself some nice paper. With watercolor, paper makes all the difference. This is the swatch from those cheap watercolors, and this paper also shows signs of being destroyed just from swatching. This is another practice at shadows. Welcome to the end of the video. If you enjoyed this video, found anything interesting or helpful, hit the like button or leave me a comment down below to let me know, and if you want to see more, hit subscribe.